When I started to work out, it felt like my shoulders wouldn't grow. I could do as many lateral raises as I wanted, but my shoulders wouldn't get wider. And getting wider shoulders and really building the V-taper is essential for an aesthetic physique. I'm Erdem and I worked out for over 2 years. I was able to go from this to this, and I was able to make my shoulder my most dominant part of my body. And one of the biggest lessons I have learned is on how to grow stubborn shoulders. So in this video, I'm gonna explain to you how to get massive shoulders when your shoulder doesn't want to grow. You're gonna force growth on your shoulders. So without further ado, let's begin the video. The first thing you have to understand is that you have to make some changes, because if you have stubborn shoulders, it means that you're not satisfied with the training you do. You're not satisfied with your progress. And I'm gonna give you some tips and tricks that you can use to really force growth on your shoulders. Now let me explain the first change you have to make, and that is to prioritize your side delts, because everyone has big shoulders, have big side delts. Another reason is because your front and rear delts are already being hit when you're hitting chest and back. Your side delts is left alone, so you really need to prioritize it. So now the change that you have to make is to increase the frequency and volume per week on your side delts, and there's 2 ways that you can do this. The first way you can grow your stubborn shoulders is to add a few extra side delts exercises on another day, for example on your leg days. Or you can decrease your sets per week on your front and rear delts because you're already hitting them when you're hitting chest and back, and you can take those sets and add it on your side delts, so you do more sets in one session. There's 2 great easy ways to increase frequency and volume per week. Let's go to the next example. The second change you have to do is to look at your workout split. If you do push-pull leg, upper, lower or full body, you need to modify it. The reason is on all of these splits, you're not hitting shoulders in the beginning of the session. And here's the thing, the earlier you hit a muscle group, the less fatigue you have, which means that you can recruit motor units more efficiently, which means that you're able to stimulate the muscle more, which means that there's more growth. So if you hit shoulders in the middle of your session, you're not maximizing growth. So change your workout split, modify it, and hit shoulders, especially your side delts, early. And I promise you, that is the best return on investment you can have, and you will never have stubborn shoulders again. That was the second change that you have to make. Now let's go over to the third, and this is a bit controversial, but hear me out. By the way, if you want to know how to gain 15 to 25 pounds of attractive muscle mass in the next 6 months, click the first link in the description. The third thing you need to change is the exercises. It's really important that you have good range of motion, where you get a deep stretch and you have a lot of stability, and also where you can do progressive overload. For your front delts, the seated dumbbell press is great. This is the most common variation of shoulder press that I do, because you have a lot of stability, great range of motion, and the resistance path is pretty even. Plus you can progressive overload on this exercise pretty easy. Now when you do this exercise, there's a few key points that you have to keep in mind. The first one, put the bench between 45 to 90 degrees. Find which angle you like the most, you're the most comfortable with. The second thing you need to do is to always arch your back, chest out for stability. The third thing you need to do is to always have great range of motion. When you're going down with the dumbbells, always go all the way down. Get a deep stretch. The dumbbells should almost touch your shoulders, and then push up. The fourth thing you need to do, and this is more for beginners, is that when you go down with the weights, always bend your elbows, right? A lot of beginners, when they go down, they don't bend their elbows enough, so the weights are up here, right? This will really hurt your rotator cuffs. You can really injure yourself easily. So you should always bend your elbows and have the weights close to your body. And when you do that, you will have 10 out of 10 form, and you will really stimulate your front delts. And for my side delts, 95% of my gains have come from cable lateral raises. The reason is because you get a deep stretch and you get a really good range of motion. When you're doing this exercise, there's a few key points that you have to keep in mind. Number one, when you're picking up the handle and you're gonna do the rep, lean a bit forward so you get a deep stretch on your shoulders. And then when you do the repetition, don't have your elbow straight. Bend it just a little bit. This is too much, this is too little. Bend it just a little bit and then do your rep, and then you can stop here, because after this point right here is traps. It's all traps. So stop here and then go down, control the weights, lean a bit forward, and then do the reps. With this exercise, you can't go too heavy, because if you go too heavy, you will injure your rotator cuffs. With this exercise, you have to be really careful with your rotator cuffs because it's easy to injure it. So now let's talk about rear delts. It's really important that you hit at a 45-degree angle, and a perfect exercise for this is the reverse cable flies. There's a few key points that you have to keep in mind. When you're picking up the cables, lean a bit forward, and when you're doing this exercise, the cable should be in line with your arm, 45 degrees angle, and that is perfect. Another thing with this is that when you're going up with the cables, your arms should cross. That is how you get a deep stretch with this exercise. That is how you really stimulate this exercise. And that was the last tip. So hopefully you liked this video. Leave a like and comment how you're gonna apply the tips that I have given you, and always subscribe if you found this valuable.